Hi everyone, Ken Wood of K Woods Tech Talk. I wanted to share with you today about the Task Factory Secure FTP task from Task Factory. The Secure FTP task essentially allows a user to interact with an FTP server and perform multiple tasks. I'll go over each of those tasks here momentarily in a brief demonstration. But first of all, I just wanted to draw your attention to its location. It is a control flow item and can be located here. Simply drag it over and you can see it. You'll notice we have a little red X because we have yet to configure it, so we'll get started on that here momentarily. But as you can see, pretty simple looking component. We go ahead and just open it. Pretty general. Each task is here. You can upload a file to a server. Again, that means taking a file from your local and uploading it to the FTP server itself. Download file from server, taking it from the server, I guess, and then create a directory on the server. Delete directory on server. There are multiple functions. In particular, one I want to bring to your attention is the get list of files function. The get list of files function is a little more complex to work with, but what it does is it will return a list of files that are located on a folder on the FTP site, and you can designate which folders or which files to bring back simply by using this file filter option. Now, the get list of files does require an object variable, so I wanted to bring your attention to this particular blog regarding the get list of files functionality. Let me go ahead and see if I can't get that for you. And here it is. It's a good colleague, friend of mine, Manuel Quintana, created a blog on the Task Factory Secure FTP using the get list of files option. Now, it is a little more specific. As you can see, there's a little more you have to do in there, but it is a great functionality nonetheless. And in my blog, I direct you to this link to view his video. I'll provide a brief overview of it, but I'm not going to get too in depth of it. I'll just simply show you its functionality. Again, this is just a general demonstration video for the purposes of simply setting up that FTP for the first time. So I'll go ahead and get started here. Again, Secure FTP is a control flow task. We drag over from our SSIS toolbox. Now, within the component, you need to create a connection manager. I've already done so, as you can see here. I'll just show you how I did that. So here we go. This is my host name. As you know, I don't have the hyper transfer protocol text or hyper text transfer protocol that HTTP or HTTPS you usually see before hosts. I've removed that, and I simply have the app.smartfile.com address. Yours will be specific to your FTP site, obviously. Now, the connection type I'm using here is an SSH or an FTP connection. You can also use FTP connections, but in regard to the FTP over implicit TLS or SSL, those are very case specific. But as far as using the task itself, I prefer to use the SSH connection because that is what a valid connection would be for us here. So I've gone ahead and changed that port to port 22. Now for the FTP, you're going to want to change this port to port 21. But we're using the SSH. Either one will work. So I'm going to use the SSH port 22. I have my username and I have my password. Nothing else you have to do here. You can use binary transfer, reuse connection across all tasks if you happen to have multiple FTP tasks. In this case, we only have the one. So I'm going to go ahead and test connection and verify that my connection succeeds and click OK. So we have our connection manager set up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload a file to a server. I'll just start with the first option, uploading the file to server. I'm going to stop this package on failure just in case it fails. It'll give me an error message detailing what the issue was. Now you can select a variable and use a variable to populate that path, but for simplicity's sake, I'm going to simply select the connection manager and locate the new file connection, which will be an existing file or an existing folder if you're uploading folder to server or uploading directory to server. In this case, it's going to be an existing file. And I believe I have one here on my desktop, so I'm going to go ahead and locate it. I believe it's called FTP test. There we go. Click open. Now, this has been designated, and this will be a file that I upload to my FTP server, as you can see here. This is, in fact, the location where it will be uploaded, and it will be uploaded into this location. Just to show you how it works, I've set that up. Now I'm going to go ahead and select the connection manager I just configured previously. And I'm going to locate the directory on the server to upload the file. So as you can see, it brings back the directory of the folders I do have available, the directories I have available. I'm going to click on the SFTP, double click, sub 1, sub 2, and then sub 3. Let me go back one. Click on sub 3. Now, it may be common for you to open up, different subfolders. That's just how I have it set on mine for testing reasons. You can have it just, subfolder 1, or even just have the FTP test right there inside that subfolder. Now, I want to bring to your attention, you'll notice if I select sub 3 and then I try to click OK, it'll say, well, you can't do that because you have to select a specific file or folder. So in this case, what I'm going to do is instead of double clicking on this last subcategory, I just click on it, highlight it, and there we go. So what's going to happen is this file is going to be uploaded to that sub 3 category. So here's what we'll do. We'll go ahead and make sure everything's good. You can overwrite files. Now the overwrite file path essentially means anything with the same name, the same file, and you're just trying to replace it. You upload it, it will replace that for you, to overwrite that file for you. But it has to be specific. It has to be a specific name. They both have to match. So anyway, that's done there. So I'll go ahead and click OK. Right click, and I'll execute. And we'll see that it in fact works. I'll go ahead and stop it for a second. Open this back up, and we'll go into my FTP test. Again, that's sub 1, sub 2. When opening sub 3, we should see the FTP test right here. I can open it up and view it. And I said this is a test for secure FTP. So pretty simple there. It's just a very brief overview of what we can do, and I'll go ahead and show you how we can now delete that file that's located on that server. So here we go. We just uploaded it to the server. Now I'm going to go ahead and delete file on server. Okay. Now you'll notice this is grayed out when we select this because obviously we're deleting the file. We're not designating a file to upload any longer. So we've designated this as such. Now I should be able to open this, and actually this time be able to select the file I want deleted. Click OK, right click, and execute. We see that it executes successfully. We'll go here, refresh our page, and we should see the top file is now gone. Now, another functionality, again, is the download or create directory on server or download directory from server. So you can pull all this existing information out of it. It's really a great thing to use. You guys can absolutely play with it. It's set up very much generally the same way. But what I'll do here now is I'll go ahead and show you exactly that git list of files that I feel like you should go to Manuel's blog and get a little more information on. He'll show you exactly how that's set up. But I'm going to get list of files. Now, because we're getting a list of files from an existing server, we're not going to have a path designated locally to send that. So we're actually in this case going to be using a for each loop container and an execute SQL task. So what I'll do is, again, we have our connection manager set up, and I'm going to go ahead and locate the directory location on the server. Go ahead and get that. We will say, finish that up. So this is our general directory. I'm going to go ahead and backtrack just a little bit here and try to set this up again so you can see it from the beginning. Okay, so we'll go ahead and select the secure FTP, sub 1, sub 2, sub 3. Click OK. Now, we'll get into file filter here shortly, but basically what you're using the file filter is what's called case logic. So you're going to basically identify key aspects in the name of the file or properties that you want pulled back. In this case, we could pull extract, a specific date, and the type of file it is. So as you can see, I have a CSV file here that has my name, extract, the word extract, and wood in it. Let's say I want to pull that specifically back. I'll show you how that's done. But for the moment, I want to go ahead and take this list of files that I have in my sub 3 directory, and I want to designate it to a SQL location. So we'll go ahead and I'll show you how that's set up very quickly. Again, the select variable here. Now, what's crazy about the get list of files is you actually have to have a object variable selected. So I've already created my object variable, but if you hadn't, you would simply go to create new and create your object variable there. But I have my get list of files variable created. Again, it is just an object variable. So we'll go ahead and we'll click OK. Now, if you notice before, I had a little something down here where I mentioned earlier the for each loop and the execute SQL task come into play. Now the reason we're doing this is we have to set it to a destination when using that object variable so that we can populate that object variable. So as you can see down here, I have my get list of files. That's the object. My file list is the location of that FTP test. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll roll right into this. I'm going to go ahead and enable this. As you can see, I connected the constraint to the for each loop, and I dragged this execute SQL task into the for each loop container. Double click on the for each loop. Go to collection. Now you notice you have to get the enumerator, edit the enumerator to be for each from variable enumerator. That's how this is going to work. And I have my get list of files object variable. This is what I'm going to use. I'll use variable mappings. Now my files list, this is simply that FTP test you see below that I have designated here. Click OK. Now we enter the execute SQL task. I'm really performing just a simple statement here. Just insert into a table that I've created, file name, values. Pretty simple to do there. As you can see, I have it listed as an invarchar type. I just want to verify, check everything looks good, and it does. So I'm going to go ahead and and one other thing, you want to change the parameters. Parameter name to 0. So we'll go ahead and click OK. Now, what we should see is that this table, let me refresh it so you can see, this table should be populated with my list of files. I'm going to right click and execute. And we see that it succeeds. Let's verify that it did work for us in SSMS. And there it is. We see that my list of files have now been extracted, and I can see them. Now, again, I want to direct you to Manuel's blog. Manuel Quintana's blog, again, is just a link designated here in my own blog, where he gets in depth in exactly why that functionality works. So definitely go check out his blog for a little more information on that. But that's been a brief overview of the Secure FTP task and its new features. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop me a line in the comment box below. I'll be more than happy to answer any inquiry you may have. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.